how to avoid weight gain these holidays. Now, this was a question that I got asked over on my Instagram, where I do something on Fridays called Free Coach Friday. You can ask me any questions health or fitness related, and as a PT and nutrition coach, I've worked with a lot of women who find this particular time of year really quite stressful and overwhelming, and often they'll end up either in restriction reward camp, which is where they don't want to be, because if you're restricting from all food and then saying on the weekends, oh, I've been so good, I'm going to allow myself to have this, you're not building a healthy relationship with food or your body, and quite often you may be more likely to overeat on said food, thinking that it's going to be a long time before you get to or give yourself permission to have that food again. Or it could be the complete opposite, where some people sort of just throw in the towel. They're like, oh, it's the end of the year, I deserve this, I really don't care, I'm going to make 2025 my year of fitness. Now, if you're already talking about that you don't care and you're thinking about caring in the next year, chances are you probably do care now, but you're just using this time of year maybe as a little bit of a buffer, or potentially even as a bit of an excuse just to go a little bit mad on all of the sometimes food. My friend, my clients are eating with balance at this time of year because they understand that there's a time and a place for all food. One of the things that I really stand by, and I can't tell you this enough, there is a time and a place for all food, and food is mostly fuel. But there are sometimes, particularly around Christmas, where sometimes food is a little bit more than fuel, and it's connection, it's joy, it's social and emotional health. But when we really understand how to balance our intake of food and what our energy requirements are, you can actually enjoy that sometimes food in context and in moderation, still get the results you want without feeling like you should feel guilty for eating something, because food should never make you feel guilty, or just throwing all your health goals out the window because that's in the too hard basket right now and we're very, very stressed and overwhelmed. So hopefully in today's video, I'm going to give you some really practical strategies, ones that I will work with my clients at this time of year so that you too can enjoy the silly season. Now, how to avoid weight gain. My first piece of advice to you is that if you don't have a really good understanding of your energy requirements and what nutrients you should be taking in and what amounts you should be taking in, please just don't weigh yourself. This isn't an excuse to go, oh, well, I'm just going to eat anything I want. What I'm trying to say is, if the scale is not serving you, and if you don't have a good relationship with it because you don't necessarily understand what it's telling you, you don't need to weigh yourself at regular intervals. What you can focus on is getting in really good quality premium fuel most of the time, eating within your energy requirements, and then focusing on moderating some of the sometimes food you'd like to enjoy with your family and friends. Plenty of my clients do not weigh themselves. We have different ways to track progress. And this year, if you can focus on getting in mostly unprocessed and healthy foods in the times that are not just special occasions, and I'm talking, your regular Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday breakfast, making some beautiful, easy meal prep during the lunches that you can control, you're going to end up with a little bit more currency on the weekends. And if you're not focusing on the number of the scale, it's not going to stress you out when it might fluctuate, because you won't actually know. The scale is genuinely meant to fluctuate depending on the types of food that we've eaten, whether we've gone to the toilet, and where we're at in our cycle, and whether or not what type of training that we've been doing. But all too often, I find that the number on the scale, people are so emotionally connected to, because often they're picturing a number at a time in their life when they knew that they looked good. The same thing is like wanting to fit into a certain size clothes, because when they fit into whatever it was, size 8, 10 or 12, they felt really confident, they felt like they looked good. So if they're aiming to get back into that number, then that's what they're using as their measure of progress. But wouldn't it be more progressive to go, okay, I'm going to focus on fueling my body properly so that I have more energy while this very stressful and busy, overwhelming time happens. So most of the time, I'm going to make sure that I am getting in a serve of protein at each and every meal. I am going to make sure that at least 2 of my meals every day have either salad or veggies with them, so that I'm getting in a lot of micronutrients, because that is going to give me more energy. It's also going to help me sleep better. If I have more energy and I sleep better, I'm more likely to want to get up and move my body mindfully. And then all of a sudden, once you sort of pair these 3 things together, you're moving your body mindfully, naturally we tend to choose healthier or more energetic foods than what we would if we weren't doing any movement, because the motivation and habit stack is often connected. But when people sit in this restriction reward camp, what they tend to do is all through the week they eat like birds, or they eat very small amounts, or they eat foods they don't necessarily enjoy, and then on the weekends they're like, oh, I've been so good, I'm going to allow myself to have the chocolate cake and the Christmas pudding, and I'm going to have espresso martinis, without sort of realizing that all that energy that they're taking is actually going to have some kind of flow on effect. And often because it's not in balance and because they don't necessarily understand how to fuel their body and do it with moderation, then they feel really guilty, thinking that they've ruined everything. Now, one analogy I like to use with my clients is that if you got a flat tire, you're not going to get out of the car and slash all the other tires and just be like, oh, well, the car's ruined now, I'm just going to leave it on the side of the road. You just change the tire and you get on with it. That's what can happen around this time of year. If you develop a really great routine on the days that you don't have a lot of social things on, then when you do decide to take a little detour or maybe stop on the side of the road, it's not necessarily getting a flat tire. It's a choice to take that little detour, but then you just get back on the right track because you know that the following day it's not going to be full restriction and it's not going to be, oh, I've ruined everything, so I'm just going to keep going and like slashing all my other tires. It's literally just a pit stop and then you keep going. One of the things that I've encouraged my clients to do, and this is what we're doing in the LPF community, is we've got something going on called the Fitness Project. Now, this is, instead of measuring our progress by our body composition changes, which is often what we can do when we are on a fat loss journey, because I don't necessarily want my clients to lose weight. Often when they come to see me, they want to lose body fat. And the difference between weight loss and fat loss is that when you're focusing solely on weight loss, you don't know what that weight is made up of if you are just measuring the number on the scale. It can be water, it could be muscle, it could be fat. But when we focus on, say, fitness progress, we're going to measure things like our strength, our progressions in different exercises, and the focus then shifts from, hey, I need my body to look a certain way, to I want to feel a certain way. And when we want to feel energized and when we want to feel good, because we're spending a lot of time, there's a lot of social and emotional commitments, when you want to feel good, you want to have a good amount of energy. When you're getting in the right fuel and you're moving your body and you're getting in lots of water, you tend to sleep a lot better. You're actually going to enjoy those social occasions a whole lot more. And when we take food out of the equation, that's actually what this time of year is usually all about. It's connection with other people, friends, family members, signaling the end of one year. But when we have lots and lots and lots of these catch-ups, quite often, if you've been in that restriction reward land, you'll use the excuse of, oh, well, it's Christmas. Oh, you only live once. I'll do this. You shouldn't need an excuse to enjoy yourself. That's what I often explain to my clients. You don't need an excuse. You have permission to do so. If you want to choose to have a drink with family and friends, there's a different context to having that drink, say, with your family versus your partner's, co-worker's, husband's friend that's throwing a barbecue that you've just decided to go to. So when you think about where you'd like to sort of spend your energy tickets and you're focusing on either being on a fat loss journey or a health and fitness journey, pick your occasions. Not every occasion has to be a big shebang where you're going to enjoy all the food. And often that only happens when you've restricted yourself so much during the week that you feel like, oh great, I've given myself, or I've got an occasion to go all out, because that's the way that you're living, and that's not really balanced. If you sit somewhere in the middle, and I usually liken this to a little bit of a seesaw with my clients, I'll say on one hand you have all of your ultra processed foods, the sometimes foods, things that can be really moreish and delicious. Now on this side you have your very much just your whole foods, your lean proteins, all of that kind of stuff. Now, depending on what you're working on, you never really want the seesaw to hit either end, because if you're sitting like this and you're only going for all the processed foods, then that's not going to be healthy socially, emotionally, physically. Now, if you go the other end and you're not working with, a very particular strong fitness goal or a triathlon or something like that, and you're only sticking to these kind of foods and you can't deviate, you can't pivot or adjust, and it gets very stressful when you can't get your hands on the food that you like, probably don't necessarily have a super healthy relationship with food. So the seesaw is tipped on either end. You want to hang around somewhere in the middle. Some days you want to take steps this direction where you are enjoying that sometimes food. Maybe it's the Christmas pudding. Maybe it is, a few glasses of bubbles and a cheese platter with your girlfriends. The following day, instead of rushing to the other end where the seesaw's got to tip all the other way, you just want to restore the balance. That's the way I explain eating for life with my clients, because even if you are trying to get body composition results around this time of year, it's not to say that you can't enjoy anything, because you're being good and you're on a program. My cousin every year makes this beautiful homemade like plum pudding and the custard, and I love all of it. Now, there isn't a health program in the world that's worth for me missing out on that connection, because it is the only day generally that our whole family will get together. She makes it with love and it's really, really enjoyable. I look forward to it every single year. Now, does that mean I have to go and eat half the plum pudding and then take some home for later because I know that I'm not going to get it all year? No, that means I make sure that I sit down and I really enjoy it with the person that made it, and I just take it all in. And then I'm quite content with that and moving on. And that doesn't mean that I then have to go for seconds and thirds of every other dessert. Quite often, I like to say to my clients, pick the 2 or 3 things that you really want to try, and let's bulk out the rest of your day with beautiful, healthy whole foods. And the same approach can be taken if you do have a lot of social occasions on. So you can say, well, you know what, I'm going to take, there's like one of my favorite recipes on the LPF app is this chopped broccoli salad. I have 2 versions. One's like a creamy dressing, one is like a miso vinaigrette. So easy to make. It's the best salad to take to a barbecue. Never fails for everyone to say that's probably the best salad. When you take a salad like that, you're giving yourself some really great energy. You can pair that with a lean protein, whether you're having a barbecue or there's chicken or fish or whatever it is. Then you've created a little bit more room for some sometimes food or some discretionary drinks or things like that. And you've got this really nice balance because you've got these really beautiful, healthy whole foods that are high in nutrient value. You can get a really large volume of them, but then you're also giving yourself permission to enjoy these sometimes foods in context. So if you are focusing solely on not gaining weight these holidays, my friend, you are going to miss out on some of the fun stuff. And like I just explained with the plum pudding, sometimes food is more than just fuel. You know, sometimes food is joy and it's connection. And unless you have some sort of like serious acute health problems, there is a way to do this with balance. And what I like my clients to focus on, whether they're going on normal holidays or whether it's this season, is making sure that they get in a serve of protein at each and every meal. And depending on where you're going, if you're at home, try and get in those lean sources of protein, because chances are if you're going to go dine out, you're going out for a work Christmas dinner, or you know your friends having you over for dinner, they might be serving you a type of protein that could be a little bit more higher in energy. You want to be able to enjoy that. So by focusing on getting in the leaner, you know, like your chickens, your fish, that kind of thing in the meals that you've made at home, you just have a little bit more wiggle room for the dish that you didn't cook yourself, that was made with love, that you can sit down and really enjoy it without feeling like you're ruining all of your progress. Now, on top of that, what I also suggest is making sure that you are getting in at least like 1 serve of vegetables or 1 serve of salad in 2 meals that you're having every single day. I'll often encourage my clients to have some veggies at breakfast, because that way, if they've got social things on and they don't have access to some really great nutrients for lunch or dinner, they've already got a good hit of nutrients in their first morning meal. I have great recipes that you can have carrot or zucchini or spinach, mushrooms, and all of these don't always require cooking, which is one of the best things about them, because I work with busy women. We've got to be able to get it done and super, super efficiently. The other thing is that you want to stay hydrated, because if you are hydrated, you're less likely to get cravings, and then it just gives you a little bit more wiggle room, so to speak, if you do want to enjoy a few drinks here or there. Now, that being said, when it does come to having drinks, just because you have 3 or 4 different work catch-ups doesn't mean that you have to drink at every single one of them. Pick the one that means the most to you. Maybe it's the types of people that are going to one, or maybe it is the one that is at a place that you wouldn't normally go to. It could be a really fancy restaurant, and that's where you're really going to choose to immerse yourself in that. And then the following day, all you want to do is not restrict. You want to go back to normal. You want to think, okay, what nutrients do I need to have? The LPF method is focused all around whole foods and including your soul foods, because if you can balance those 2 things, you're more likely to stick with something long term. I don't want my clients to look back at their time on the program and say, I wasn't able to enjoy myself. But what I do want them to do is build a really great understanding of what their energy requirements are, how to fuel their body well, and then really enjoy and savor the moments that are important to them, because that's important to both our social and emotional health. So don't focus on the weight gain this Christmas. Focus on nutrients, focus on balance, and focus on enjoying things in context, and seeing if you can really progress with separating your progress from the scales. I think that's going to be a better measure of moving forward on your health and fitness journey than just watching that scale number fluctuate up and down, because there's so much more to this time of year and building a healthy relationship with food and with your body than what those particular numbers or that particular set of data is telling you. And if you are really concerned and worried about it and you want to learn real practical strategies, reach out to someone for support. Just because you have a coach at this time of year doesn't mean that you're going in the all or nothing direction. Sometimes it just means that you want to be able to enjoy your food without feeling guilty, and you should, because food isn't there to make you feel guilty. It is fuel most of the time, and then other times it is joy and it is connection. But we've not been conditioned to think that. And we've also been conditioned to think that, if we have a few meals out, whether that be takeaway or someone's cooking for us, we're going to restaurants, that all our progress is going to be ruined, and it can feel like a really frustrating yo-yo cycle. But a lot of my clients, they learn how to eat when they're out socially, when they want to enjoy social occasions. But often when you understand how to fuel your body and what certain things react in your body, then it's much easier to moderate them. So many of my clients, like, I can't believe I used to go out and have 10 or 12 beers or ciders, then stop at like some sort of greasy food place on the way home, but the following day feel absolutely rubbish because I got a bit of a hangover. It happens. I still drink when I go out, but then the next day they're like, oh, I'm just going to eat like all of the carbs. The following Monday they're just eating lettuce and tuna, and that's not going to be the way to do it, my friend. You want to be able to go out, have a few drinks, really enjoy that, focus on filling up with the nutrients. The following day, not actually feeling as rubbish as what you would, move your body mindfully, and then just get back to it Monday through Friday. And eat foods that make you feel good, not foods that you're like, this feels like absolute punishment. So they're my tips for you, my friend, on how to avoid gaining weight these holidays and instead focusing your progress on building a healthy relationship with food in your body, eating in moderation, getting in good amounts of quality nutrients, and enjoying things in that moderation in the right context with your beautiful family and friends. Now, if you found this one helpful, give it a bit of a like. You can always come over to Instagram and ask me a question on Free Coach Friday if you have one. Otherwise, my friends, I will see you in the next video, probably next week. I also popped a Pilates class up because some of you are asking for express Pilates. And if you can make it to the mat a few times this week, I guarantee you're going to feel a lot better and you're more likely to choose those healthy choices, which might just give you a little bit more wiggle room to enjoy those beautiful sometimes foods all at this beautiful time of year. All right, my friends, until next time.